Reuters came out with a list of basically politicians that owned slaves. Not them directly, but their family lineage through great grandfathers or whatever it was. Right now, there's 5 living presidents who have owned slaves. 5. Okay, Danny, there's 5. Can you guess? Can you guess the? And this is just 5 that are living because there's only 6 living presidents right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess the living president right now and the only president in the history of the United States not to own a slave?
Looking at this short list, it says 5 living presidents, and there's 6, so it'd be Donald Trump.
The most racist, supposedly the most racist president, is the only one that didn't own slaves.
Maybe there's something to it, right?
Well,
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Bad joke.
like, say what you want about Trump, but his hands are clean. His family's hands are clean, right?
In that aspect.
And they're going to say, oh, you can't judge him by this and that. Okay, then you want reparations. These are the people you need to get reparations from. You know?
I just pulled up another source that shows from Daily News saying Trump is the only living president whose family didn't own slaves from one report.
Look at that picture of the 4 that do. Wow.
Just to fact check this story by the Reuters. So I'm going back to Reuters. So scrolling down more, 2 Supreme Court justices right now, whose lineage has once owned slaves.
Who are these guys? Okay.
Current
11 governors. Look at that. Is that Elizabeth Warren on there? Oh, it is.
Where do you see her? I don't see her.
She's on the top of this row.
Oh, I see her right
You
here.
see her, right?
Even Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas.
Wow.
Remember her story about writing in
Yep.
that she's Native American?
Wow. You own slaves. I don't see Pelosi on here.
Maybe she didn't.
Maybe she's not legislator anymore.
No, she is. She is. She's not the minority leader anymore. I believe she stepped down.
Yeah, look at that.
Lindsey Graham's on here.
Lindsey Graham. Just looking at him, you can tell. You can tell. Just
You'd
looking at
probably
him.
be proud of it.
He's so like, come on, Lindsey.
But yeah, I mean, can you really
Well, it's just interesting.
use that against them? I mean,
you can't hold it against them, but do you wonder like how them growing up as back in the day? Because think about it, they're not young, so they were around when all that crazy Rodney King stuff was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Not Rodney King, Martin Luther King. Yeah,
I mean, that was
Malcolm X and stuff. So
that was 60 years ago. Some of them were kids back then.
Not even kids; they're probably teenagers.
Maybe teenagers.
They're old. Do you wonder if they hate? Because let's be honest, you've seen all the old videos of Biden saying that he didn't want his kids to be around black kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's fact.
Does
fact.
he still believe that now?
Maybe you could change your
maybe
mind.
he's changed.
Maybe he's changed his mind, or did he change his mind because of politics?
Sometimes it's your surroundings. Well, it could be politics.
Because
Sometimes it's your surroundings that you evolved.
He was also against gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Big time against. So was the Clintons. So was Obama. But politics said, hey, you got to accept it. Okay. You just don't change your mind. You
probably have to go with the flow to get the votes.
Exactly.
That's one thing I noticed with Democrats. They don't pump the brakes on things.
No.
When things start getting too wonky, it's like, hold on, let's pump the brakes on some of these ideologies and think it through. Let's beat up the ideas a little bit more. Maybe we can get a better outcome instead of just like unfiltered progressive policies.
Yes.
Because there are necessary progressive policies, but they need to be filtered a little bit. There needs to be some debate.
Yeah.
We need to iron them out a little bit.
Well, this whole thing it's crazy to me that the Democrats are the way they are now. But it's not. It's far left, and there's some regular Democrats. So I think there's in-house fighting, just like there's in-house fighting for Republicans. But the Democrats sometimes are just have the crazy, like AOC's out there sometimes, man. The things she says, like the latest with diversity or something that the Supreme Court just ruled.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, we were just talking about this too.
Yeah, we were just talking
affirmative
about
action.
Affirmative action. So what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think what they're trying to say is basically they're going to start changing things, and especially in higher education, right? Like to get into Harvard, they're not going to do it based off of how many of this and that they have, right? How many?
Basically, the quota of this school is required to have like a certain amount of minorities in it, regardless of the qualifications. I mean, they still have to meet a certain qualification, but there's also you have to
They
meet a
have
certain.
to have the grades now.
I mean, it's not. We're not just talking about this is something that white people need to be in check for. Remember, there was too many Asians going into like elite schools like Harvard because they were just kicking ass with their SAT scores, and then they
Yep.
pumped the brakes like, okay, we have too many. We need to make it harder for them to get in.
Exactly. I mean, I saw an article. It's not on here, but and I did see something. I went down a rabbit hole on. I think it was shorts on Facebook or something, and how Asians are delighted that this has changed because they're gonna get more of them into Harvard, Princeton, and all those schools because they're smart. They're smart.
I mean, just looking up affirmative action, it's intended to promote the opportunities of defined minority groups within a society to give them equal access to that of the majority population. Now, it makes me question, why did affirmative action come before? Like, why did it exist to begin with? And how necessary is it today? Have we progressed from what it was when it was needed?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is it
So,
progressive where we don't
'cause-
need it now?
What was the point of it coming out? Yes, there was racist companies that just did not want to have minorities in their business, and that's a bad reflection. Like, hey, just like every other American should have opportunities, but you're only selecting a handful of cherry-picked Americans who could only have access to certain opportunities, but the rest cannot, and most of them are minorities or of lower income classes, white people too. And there's always a hyper minority of the minorities who have access because of like maybe they have a background, wealth, or come from some type of background that has good connections. Maybe that they have a network overseas of oil or whatnot.
I don't know. I don't know what the right thing is on affirmative action. I mean, there's certain things that you shouldn't have affirmative action. Okay, like flying. Like, do you want your pilot to? You want the best pilots in there, right? You don't want. Oh, we have to have certain Indian, certain Hispanic, certain other races. You want the best pilots. You can have affirmative action where you can have a diverse training group, but you're only going to take the best out of that.
I mean, there's areas that you have to have the best, and where it's impossible to be a racist, right? Like competition, like sports, right? No basketball team owner and be like, I only want white people on my team.
Boston Celtics.
Well, what if they did? They're probably not going to make it to the playoffs. They'll probably be the
They
worst
won't
teams
make
because there's.
Can you imagine
most
affirmative
of-
action in NBA?
Well,
Half your
I
team
know,
has
right?
to be white.
Well, the thing is, like, the majority of the best athletes are black,
Period.
especially in the NFL and the NBA. So if you're okay, there's no affirmative action. You can put certain skin color people you want, and someone's like, I want my basketball team to be only white people. Like,
Yeah.
good luck getting to any playoffs at all. In that area, it's like obviously you can't have a certain affirmative action at all. But there's some businesses that don't require a certain level of competition. You just need the employees, and that's it.
Yep.
And that's where they get cherry picked of like, I only want a whole white staff. I don't want any blacks or Asians or.
But this can
Hispanics.
open that up again. Like business can be like, oh, there's no affirmative action now.
You could open that because that when you're at an interview table for just a working class job, they're probably going to judge you on your skin color. No, I'm not saying everyone does, but it happens.
No.
Or
it
gender
does.
as well.
Yeah.
If you're female as well, this does happen
Yeah,
to them.
yeah, it could happen like, oh, we don't want to bring this person here because she won't be a good old boy.
We like to talk shit in the office, and then she'll hear something,
And
get
she'll go to
offended,
HR.
and then go to HR.
No, there's companies like that don't hire certain. They hire someone they feel that they would work out. Affirmative action, those groups don't work out because you get someone based off our quota. You have to have X amount of females, X amount of minorities, and you say a joke out of content, that person goes to HR.
Mm-hmm.
So
So what is it now that at now that we're here in 2023, they're getting rid of affirmative action before our eyes? Is it now that we're at a point where we're more progressive enough to be not worried about forced government affirmative action?
I don't know. I don't know enough about how this is going to affect us. We're going to have to wait and see. But I know all these people are up and
There could be a company an independent nonprofit company that's going to have be its own affirmative action where they rate companies of like, here's your affirmative action score. You hire so many minorities, you're very diverse, you get 100. This company is very whitewashed, so you get a score of 20. Like, it could happen.
That's the ESG score, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like an ESG
ESG
score,
score, yeah.
right? So does it work? Is it good? Do you need to appeal to them?
Yeah.
Because I get it, you want the best people, and it is very possible that maybe the best people are, most of them are of one skin color, like say Asian. Like, you want the smartest, best, and brightest, and then you're just flooded with Asians. But at the same time, maybe you only want these positions filled for only your friends.
Yeah, and
You're
that
hooking
happens.
it up.
Friends are, you want people that you can trust around you, so you can do what you do in your office, and that's like cussing, saying bad jokes, blah blah, this and that.
It's a squirrely subject because I mean I don't have the answer for it, and I'm not one who wants so much government intervention. I'm very limited of what I want the government to be involved in. Affirmative action, like I kind of want it because I feel like there's going to be people who couldn't get their opportunities that they got now if it wasn't for it. But now with that being removed, can that still exist, or are there going to be people who are going to be prevented opportunities because there's no more affirmative action?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see. In like 10 years from now, we'll see how.
It should be. It could be both, and based off of merit. Because if you're a certain, say you want to, like, let's go back to being a pilot, and you have someone saying, "Hey, I'm not a pilot because, this is a whole. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it's all white old people," and you're like, "Okay, let's investigate and see why." Pilots have scores, right? So, your score is 70, and all these guys that you're saying all have 89 to 95 scores. These companies only want those people. So you're going to have to do your work and work at smaller companies and get your score up and interview and get into those jobs. I don't know. I don't have the answers again. Like, I know me, I want the best pilots.
Yeah, I mean, you want the best talent.
Yeah, I don't want to go in there and see.
But how can you prove that you're colorblind, that you only want the best pilots?
Your pilot score.
Yeah, right. It's like
That
it
proves
can
everything.
justify it, right?
It'll justify it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because it could be like everyone who has a high pilot score are of one race, except for the one person who is not of that race, and they have the lowest score. Maybe there's a reason why he has the lowest score, because the opportunities are not there for him to learn how to be as good as a pilot as the majority that has it. That's a
Yeah.
possibility.
it's a possibility, but mostly if he's at 75, everyone has 89 and above, and he has this, same flight, same flight time, has been working at other places. Maybe he screwed up a couple of times, this and that, and he needs more. He needs to work it out more, and he just sees these jobs that are high-paying jobs, and I want that, and finds. Let's be honest. Probably says, "Oh, they're discriminating." Well, then you do an investigation, find out, well, they're not really discriminating. It's your score sucks. It's below par, and for our company, the way it is, if there's any accidents and stuff, we don't want people suing us.
Because you and I have both heard of stories of people talking about that they interviewed for a job. They were told they were the best candidate, but they couldn't fulfill the job because they had to meet a quota to put in another minority in who was the second best.
Yes, we've all had that, and we've all had that directly affect us, like trying to get promoted. That someone not as good got promoted because of diversity. And it sucks, but there's nothing you can do about it. I still think companies will still try to be, even though they ruled that, they'll still have diversity. Because you don't want to be a company, you're looking through leadership, and they're all old white guys.
I hope that the affirmative action was the training wheels to progress the country to be more diverse. And now we could take off the training wheels. I hope that's what it is. It's a big ask, I know, because the less government, the better, I believe.
Yeah, but again, it's a slippery slope. But
Very slippery slope. I agree with you there.
because you want diversity, and you want to get people who might not be as smart because they haven't had the chance, because they live in the inner city, and let's be honest, inner cities don't get a lot of funding, and they don't have a chance to excel. But if you give them, like you said, put them in those higher education schools, or even school period higher education, and they thrive because they wouldn't have gotten that chance to do so if it wasn't for affirmative action. So we'll see if this is how bad this is going to be, and we'll see in the next year or two, and we'll go from there.
Hopefully people in the comment section will tell us what they feel about this.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on this at all.
Neither am I, but it makes for interesting conversation, and honestly, out of this, I just hope for the best, really.
Thanks for watching our clip. If you want to see more clips like this and you like our views, like the show, click here for some more clips. If you want to hear the whole podcast, watch the whole podcast, click here for the whole podcast. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll get back to you. Thank you, and have a great day.